Hey yo, this is Dash, and this video is a journey because I won't say I didn't know what I was doing, but I was going into this a little blind in trying to assemble the lower, putting in the lower parts kit, the trigger, the hammer. You'll see in the video I struggled with it, but I did not give up. The reason I left a lot of this footage in here, and it's almost an hour-long video, the reason why I left a lot of this footage in here is because I want you to see my thought process and the progression of me figuring it out. So this video is meant to be an inspiration for anyone for anyone that is going to be attempting to put together a lower for their very first time. You can see me struggle with it. You can see me overcome those struggles, and you can do it too. All right, welcome back. So this is part 2 in the series of me putting together my Aero EPC AR9 build. Now, majority of the Aero Precision builds that you're going to find are going to be for AR 10 or AR 15 or AR 10. It's going to be AR9, so it's a little different. So this is why I'm going to be trying to walk you through it. The majority of the components for the lower parts kit will work with this. You just don't need everything from what I understand. I'm going to try to get these done. So you will need, well, at least what you'll need for your grip will be determined by what type of screw you have for your grip. This one has a flat head, so I had to get a long flat head. When the time comes for us to put this on, we'll need that. So I have a long flat head. This EPC 9, for this, the mag release or the bolt catch, that pin is retained by a screw and is not just a regular pin. I'm going to be careful in taking this out because I'm just making sure there's no spring behind it. But this goes down in here, but we need to put a spring down in there. And also I'm not sure, I think it's this one. So the spring is going to go down and then the detent is going to go on top of it. Drop that whole thing in there. Drop the bolt catch down in here and push the pin into place. Now this is a screw on this EPC 9, so get it lined up, push the screw down and in, check for function, and it works. Though this here, it's good because it's going to be the bolt that's going to catch. This is the bolt catch. I'm like, but it doesn't stop the mag. The mag is up here. This is the bolt catch that will go this way. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to need to do, we do not need to put the mag release button on this again because this is a EPC 9 or the EPC and it's the 9. So it has a different bolt catch. It's already installed. The next thing is going to be the safety. So you have to use one of the thicker springs. It's a thicker spring, and this gold detent, the big gold detent, is the one that you use for that. And let's figure out where it needs to go. Oh, so this is gonna go, we're gonna put the selector in. And we're going to drop the detent down in here. And this is where we get our grip. I'm going to open it up, drop the screw out. I'm going to put the spring in this hole on the grip. And this whole deal goes up in here like this. It is a snug fit. My grip came with a little piece that I put here. There was a couple pieces to it. I'm just gonna push that down and make sure that is where I need it to be. And let's check the safety selector. Oh yeah, that is a firm safety selector. That pin is doing what it needs to do. Functions. All right, so I'm gonna put the washer on the screw, take my screwdriver, and I'm just gonna try to drop this in there, but I know it's not gonna work. I had a magnetic grip. This is definitely not. So I'm just gonna coax the screw down into the hole.
Why didn't you just go home? That's your home!
There it is. And then tighten it up. You guys get the idea. I'm just going to tighten this up. So how many AR builds have you done? This is going to be my first build. I have always bought complete lowers, but this one I am doing, say, from scratch, but completely doing myself. I don't know how tight. It's too tight, but we're gonna, there we go. It's good and tight. That feels good on the hand. And the bit of space that was here at the top of the, top of the grip and the receiver is all taken up. That feels pretty fantastic. Feels pretty good. Might need to add some texture to this at some point. So we're going to go ahead and close this up. And again, my safety selector works. So the next thing we're going to do is put in the front and the rear takedown pins. So these, the front here, this spring goes down in here. Oh wow, that is tough. And the detent goes right on top of it. And now I can see why people say this thing goes flying across the room. So we are going to use a punch to retain the, I want to get one that's just slightly bigger. Oh boy. So I'm going to push this down. Oh boy, I feel like I almost shot the spring across the room already. If I had some, like a set of pliers or something to hold this here while I push it down. How about I use this? Nope, that's not gonna really help. We're struggling through it together. We're gonna figure it out together. I wish I could, oh here, let's just do it on the side. Maybe that'll help me. Nope. I need something to hold that. All right. Gotta have a set of like needle nose like pliers. So we will use this to hold the pin down in, and we'll get the punch. And I want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna slide this. Let's use the flathead. Yes. Get the punch. Oh. This. Okay. So now I'm going to put the punch down in the way. Whew. Now the punch is holding it. Now I'm going to take my front pin. You can tell which one is the front because the front has it's like a flat spot on it. Also, the front is longer than the rear pin is. So I'm going to take the pin, and actually I have this in the wrong way because I want the punch to be coming from the other side. So I have to carefully take this out now. And try not to lose the, yes, I still have it. All right, so we're going to push this, and here is the pin. Just gonna, oh, damn it. How about my punch is not long enough? Get the hell out of here. Okay, this punch is long enough. Whew. We're gonna take our pin. We're just gonna push the punch out of the way. Yes, get it all into the groove. And there is where it's captured. And to get past it, we're just gonna knock it. Yes. Yes. Front takedown pin installed. Now the rear, how do we do that one? The rear, oh, it goes, the rear takedown goes in here. So we're going to push let's push the pin in so that the screw doesn't go all the way on the other side. So we're going to push the pin in, make sure that the groove is lined up, drop the detent in, drop the spring in, and on for the Aero Precision, there is this teeny little capture screw, and we're going to use one of the smallest Allens I have, and we're going to push all of this in, and it will retain this pin, the detent, the spring. Ooh, buddy, that is trying to force the spring out sideways. So I'm going to try to push the spring in a little bit. Let's make sure that this pin is in there. Wait. Whoops, I have this in the wrong way. So it needs to be captured. And in order for it to be captured, it needs to push out this way. When you're doing this, it'll make sense. So right now, let's see, is this right? Yes. Yes. Okay, I had the rear backwards. The flat side, the smaller side is going to be on the left side. Okay, so now I need to make sure that the chamber or the channel is lined up. The pin is going to drop down in here. It doesn't matter which way it goes, it's the same on both sides. Then the spring is going to go in, and I just want to make sure that it functions. And there we go. So it's in the groove. And now to push the capture. Normally on most ARs, this part will retain the spring, and I'm not sure what this particular ring is called, but I know this is the castle nut, but I don't know what this ring is called. Also, no, I can put that on it afterward. So I'm going to try to wrestle this spring down and in. Sorry, I'm trying to do this, but all right. Oh. Trying to use the screwdriver to kind of help hold it down, and I can get it started. So let's get it on the tool so I have more leverage. Trying to do it by hand is just not working. And I'm sorry it's kind of difficult for me to try to show you this, but we're just going to push this down in the hole and get the screw started so it's in there. Boom. Safety selector still works. The pin, takedown pin. Come on. I don't want to push it too hard and break it. Let's try this plastic one. There we go. It's moving. There it is. So the takedown, woo, it's just tight. Ugh. But it is moving. Golly. Let's loosen this up just a smidge. So it's flush. That's better. Oh my gosh. Oh, the difference it makes. I had the screw below flush, and it was way more difficult than it is now. I'm sure over time this will get easier, and I probably could put a little bit of oil in there to help make it easier as well. So we're just gonna do that now. Drop of oil in there, help make that easier. And I'm push out the front one as well, and I'm put a little oil in there. So I have the same result. Yeah, that's much easier than the rear. But still gonna put a little bit of oil down in here. All right, make me feel better. Perfect. Okay, so that is, now most people at this point will tell you to put the buffer tube on and everything like that, but I'm gonna put the trigger in first before I put the tube in, just to make it so that it's easier for me to maneuver the whole thing around with putting the trigger in. Now I'm just gonna be figuring out how to put the trigger in. I don't know, but I figure it can't be that hard.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
I've messed with triggers before. If you've seen some of my other videos. All right. Let's see here. All right, so this is the hammer. So that's the hammer. And this is the trigger, if I can get it out of there. There we go, straight out. And the trigger. Okay. So this has to connect with this. Like this in here. Alright, but this, I believe, has to go. I have to figure it out. And that's where the pins come in. Alright, so we're just gonna drop those down. And screws and everything. Okay. So this trigger drops down in through here, but the springs need to go back. How do I do that? All right. Is there anything else that has to go? Nope. You springs need to stay inside the body. Oh, wait. No. Okay. So the trigger needs to go underneath the The trigger needs to go underneath the safety selector. Do I have to take the whole thing out? I know, I'm sure there's probably somebody yelling at the screen right now. Again, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to figure it out. I'll say process of elimination, but how do I hold the how do I hold the springs back? Here's a pin on this thing. Shoot. That looks like it needs to come out in order for this to go in there. Okay. So that's gonna go there for a second. I am thinking no. this goes forward. Yeah. All right. So that goes forward. So we're going to take the pin with the screw, push it through, so line it up. Come on, wiggle it around a little bit. Here, I'm actually going to put a screw on this side so it can't go all the way through. And just get the screw started. And what I'll do is once it's complete, I will come back and put Loctite on these screws. All right, so now I want to line this up to be able to get it through the holes. All right, I can see that it needs to go up slightly. There we go. Come on, man. Then there's a screw. Come on, get out of there. So these should be the same size, right? Why is it not coming out? Give it a punch. Okay. So the screw does in fact fit. Okay. Jeez. It just got bound up in there. I don't know why. All right, let's scene one, take two. So the springs on the kit go forward. And we're gonna try this again. I'm just gonna use the other one since it's sitting right here. Actually, let's get a punch in there and then send the kit backwards with the punch. There we go. So we're gonna get a screw on here. All right. And line up the, there we go. So the trigger is installed. Like I said, I'm going to come back once this is all said and done and put Loctite on these screws so they can't come out. And we'll tighten this one up as well. Bring this whole assembly flush. It works. All right, so now let's get this in and down. I'm going to do the same thing. Send the punch through. Oh yeah. And we're just gonna test it out to make sure that it works before I do anything else. Pull the trigger. Oh. Yep. It's on fire. This is back. What am I doing wrong here? There it is. Well, let's check this out. See if I did something backwards. No. Should go this way. Just don't know if this needs to go underneath the other springs or what. Let's try to put it underneath and force it down. And we'll put the pin in. And why does it not like this one? There we go. Close. We'll let the screw do the work. And pulling the other side out. We're gonna test this and see if it functions. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. I did something wrong. Feel like this is in backwards, maybe. I know. I'm in here figuring it out. I looked at one video, and that was to put the the pieces on the lower. Then I kind of half looked at another video. I was falling asleep with someone trying to install this trigger, and as you can see, I didn't get all of the information necessary. But that's okay. That's why I'm here to learn and figure it out. Maybe it's this way. Yeah. Hold on one second, guys. All right, so, and I am back, and I have taken the trigger components. Here's the trigger and here's the hammer. I've taken these components out of the lower. Buddy called me, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just working on my AR, blah blah blah, trying to figure it out, trying to, you know, do this, that. He's like, oh, my bad. And then we talked for 10 minutes. And then I finally was like, all right, let me go put this thing back together. He's like, oh, I just happen to be working on mine too. All right, so I pulled out the instructions because I'm like, there really should only be one way that it could go in here. And the one thing that it says that I need to grease certain places on this in here. So I'm going to grease it up because it's just not moving the way I think it should be moving. So I'm going to put some lubrication down in here, and then maybe that'll make the difference and it'll work a little better. But we're going to try it out. So the key, or one of the things, is the springs, the feet of the springs, these go forward. These go forward in the lower. And it's going to go down under the safety selector. And I'm going to use a punch to push through to line this. Use a thicker one to line this up. And then I'm going to put my lockout screw on the punch and pull it back the opposite way. So everything should be lined up. And I'm just gonna knock it with the hammer probably because it wants to move around. Let's just, come on. This is the one that was sticky. Let's knock that out. I mean, they should be the same. But we're gonna try this one. I can see this, I'll say the mark, but I can see on this one that this is the one that I had the problem with the first time. So let's try from the other side. All right. Boom. Pull this back. Let's try this. There we go. So now almost lined up. All right, so now we'll get the screw in here. Oh. Now mind you, I did not look at very many tutorials on how to do this. I literally looked at one and I was able to just kind of figure it out. The good thing about firearms to me, and maybe it's just me, I kind of intuit how to put it together because it really should only work one way. And I have a background in computers, and most computer, say application, but most computer things only work in one way. So you can intuit how it's supposed to be or how it's supposed to be oriented and kind of put it together. All right, so I'm just trying to tighten these screws up. And again, just like I said before, I will have this how it is, and then, all right, I'm getting more movement now. I don't know, maybe I didn't have the everything tightened up enough. I don't know, it seems to be working now. All right, so now the next thing is the hammer needs to go in. And the way the hammer goes in is the springs lay on the trigger, and then the whole assembly gets pushed down and forward into the holes. Now I did see someone engage the hammer on the trigger and then push everything through it. He said it was easier to do that. So we're going to try it. So I'm going to use the push pin to kind of orient the shoe down, or the hammer down just a little bit, because it doesn't seem to want to go in there. So let's just this was the one that I was having a little bit of difficulty with. Come on, pin. There's the bigger punch. There we go. All right, so let's. No. There we go. Now. Oh, shoot. Why are you being so difficult? The pin is just wanting to go its own way. Still not working the way that I think it should. Let's take that out. This pin. Okay. Come on. Jeez. Damn. Okay, so the pin is out. So this is wedged in here. Okay, so let's figure out why this isn't. I pressed the trigger and it should release all of this, but it's not. So let's there we go. Get that out of there. Alright, so let's try this again with this. Maybe. I have pressed the hammer down into where the trigger shoe is. I have the selector on safe. Nothing is happening. I have the selector rolled all the way straight up on fire. And I wonder if this just needs to be, like, there's more stuff that needs to be in here. Like, I'm not able to hold it down or something. No. Like, I wonder if I'm missing something with the rest of the assembly that is not allowing this to do what it needs to do. Like, should the, no. The bolt, there we go. Maybe. I'm gonna finish putting it together, and I'm gonna actually put the pin that came in here, and not the screw, until I figure it out. Just because I feel like I might need to end up taking this apart again. But we're gonna put the pin in the front and the screw by the trigger. Until, see, it worked. I don't think it likes that screw. All right, I'm not gonna keep letting the hammer hit the frame, but it works there. It must not like the screw. All right, well then, here we go. I figured it out, I hope. All right, so the next thing, we're gonna continue on. We're gonna keep pressing on. All right, so the next thing is, oh, I don't need to put that in yet. The next thing is gonna be this spring with this pin. It's gonna go down in here, and I'm gonna start screwing my tube. Oh, wait. Gotta put these things on. So the castle nut goes all the way to the back. And then the star is gonna, so there's a star on here. I'm guessing that star goes outward, though I'm looking at this. Oh, actually, there are two different sizes. Yes, the star is gonna go outward. So we're gonna push this ring down and on. Oh. And of course, the spring and the detent pin came out. So we're just gonna start screwing the stock on to the grip. Come on, there we go. And you're just gonna screw this down until the stock lines up and it kind of holds on to like the front half of this pin, just until the point where it covers it up and stops. So we got it right there. Then we're going to let this go all the way down, put our castle nut down, tighten it up. Now I have to get an armorer's wrench to really cinch that down. And then the last thing that we have to do is put our spring and buffer, or the weight, that's it. That is it. So I got it together. Wish I could say I had more confidence in myself in putting it together, but you know, over time I'm sure it'll get easier. But it works. Yeah, I think the whatever is going to be pushing down on the hammer is going to be what will help it to work. And because I wasn't pushing down with force, so maybe once I get it all together, I'll try it and then I'll switch out the spring. So once I get my upper, you guys will see me put the BCG and the charging handle in. So that'll be another video, I guess. Hey, this is Dash, and this is Simon. Simon is, I won't say inspiration, but Simon is a coworker at the range, and I brought my lower to him for him to check my work because I'm an idiot, and that was my first time putting a lower together. Please tell me, in your own words, how I did.
Safety works.
Safety works, yep.
Trigger works.
Trigger works, okay.
Buffer springs in fine.
Perfect.
Not staked, but that's okay.
Yeah, I didn't do that because I need a Kessel nut or I need the wrench.
Yeah.
All right.
Minimal scratches on the bolt release, but hey, for the first time, that's not bad.
That's because I put the other anti-walk screw in here and it like mushroomed it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right. And then the whole thing was, I was an idiot and I didn't realize you had to put pressure on the hammer in order for it to work.
Yep.
Until I did it mistakenly the first time. And once that happened, it sent the hammer forward and I nicked the receiver. But I mean, like I said, first time, and it's hilarious. So before I pulled out my camera, Simon and I were talking, and he took that out of my bag, and the first thing he did was put pressure on the hammer and pull the trigger. And I said, I'm an idiot because I didn't do that, and I did it by mistake. And then it actually, I won't say fired, but the action went on. Yeah. All right. So, but the problem was when I was doing it and it had no pressure on the hammer, it wasn't actually functioning. Because it wasn't functioning, I thought I did something wrong, took it all apart, and I messed up the other anti-walk screw. So, anyway, first time, woo! Did my upper come in yet?
8 out of 10? I don't know.
Damn it!
That's boxes.
He said 8 out of 10. Because I scratched it a little bit. I mean, I wasn't as careful, and you know, I was kind of flailing with the hammer, trying to get it all together. But all in all, good job. Thank you so very much for hanging out and watching me do this. Obviously, as you saw, this is my first time assembling a lower. It really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I have this convenient place in the grip to put my tools, if they'll fit, and they do. The spring and the screws. Put that in there, so I'll have it when everything else comes in. Thank you so very much for hanging out and watching this video. I know it wasn't the, I feel like this wasn't the most entertaining, but I am learning. And if you are learning, then we are learning together. So I am still waiting for my upper. When my upper comes in, I will finish what I have to do. Yeah, we'll tighten this down. So I'll finish what I have to do, and then we'll take it to the range and we'll test it. All right. Thank you again so very much for hanging out and watching me take care of this installation of the lower parts kit, the LaRue trigger, and the stock buffer tube, or a buffer and the tube and everything like that. I don't know what else to say except for thank you again, and I'll see you next time.